I sold my dream and got almost nothing back from it. And not because the work was unfair or that I didn't work hard enough. It's because I built it on the foundation that didn't hold up, that it collapses when nothing real is underneath that. And today I want to tell you the true version of that. And not the version that sounds brave and sounds smart, because I think that you have the same problem just in a different outfit. So let me start at the end. I had a full streaming setup, monitors, dual PCs, mics, everything like a full-time streamer has in his room. And it looked exactly like the life I told myself I was building. But in the next moment, I packed the whole gear up, drove to someone else's home, to a younger kid, helped him set up the dream setup of mine, and I smiled and I left because I had rent to pay. I didn't have any money and this was the last option I had. And I saw how his face lit up, how luckily and how happy he was back then. So I set everything up, I showed him everything, I shook his hand, took the money and then drove back home, opened my door, got back into my room and stood there on an empty desk. There was literally nothing, just an empty desk. There were no cables, there were no monitors, no computers, nothing. Just my MacBook lying there. And you might be hearing this and say like, yeah, that's really sad that you sold all your gaming or all your streaming setup. But it's not really sad. It's a point, it's a time where it switched inside me. Because here's what actually happened. And this part I didn't speak out loud for years. Because back then I quitted my job. Not because of savings, not because of investments, not because my streaming career got good and I got some viewers, because of emotions. So I asked my boss for a small raise and he screamed at me, and this broke something inside me, this changed something inside me. And then I just walked out of that job with no backup, no savings, just pure emotions. Because I don't know what really happened then, but since then something is different about me. And then with no money, staying at home, trying to be a streamer, the bills piled up. The saving account got less and less and I had no money left. And I put the last bit of money I had into crypto. And not because I have a strategy or insider tips, because I used it as a rescue, as the last rescue from a stupid emotional choices I did back then. And as you know, or as you might predict how the story will end, you're right, I lost a bunch of money. And then I needed to borrow money from my family and my girlfriend to survive, and the last option was to sell my setup. The only last option I had, because I couldn't live off the borrowed money from family and friends. This wasn't an option. I had to sell the setup to pay the rent to live inside this house. I knew that quitting that job without stable foundation wasn't an option or wasn't reasonable. I knew that going into crypto all in with my last money, that I had to pay the bills to keep up living like I was living back then. I knew it was irresponsible, and I knew all of that because I repeat this so often in my life. And I knew all of that. I knew that this is how the story will end because I experienced it more than once in my life. But I wrapped it in a language that sounds reasonable. I had some excuses, that I was betting on myself, that this environment was toxic for me, that I have a better plan. But in reality, I didn't have any plan. I was just running pure on emotions. And the empty desk that had to sell up my whole setup wasn't something the world did to me. It was evidence that I was living the life I always do. And this goes back further than a desk setup. For example, when I was 13, I had a YouTube channel that was growing, that I had over 200,000 views, over 1,000 subscribers back then. And for a 13-year-old kid, that was the world. That was an opening door. And I published some content, I published some let's plays, and when the classmates knew about it, when the pressure came and everything laughed about it, I collapsed. And that, I think, was the starting point when it all begins, because since then I was training my brain that if pressure arrives, I quit. And the streaming setup was just with adult consequences, with adult money, because this was expensive. The room that I had was very expensive. I just bought everything new. And let me tell you what the video is about. It's not about the desk setup, it's also not about the YouTube channel I had back then. It's about the mistakes or the emotions I see everywhere because I lived it for so long. So for example, you're buying some gear of a future life you want without having the personality of the future life you actually want to have. It's maybe not with the streaming setup, it's maybe with a camera you bought and it's sitting on your table, or it's a course you buy or you booked then you didn't even visit, or even the gym that you have and you don't go there. And this maybe works, maybe the gym membership only works when you're motivated. It only works on good days. But when life gets hard, when life gets life in real life, things collapse. And this is the only thing I can say because I lived it. I know I can talk about this because I experienced it. And here's a question I have for you that you have to answer to yourself. If someone came to your room, took your laptop, took your camera, took everything you have besides your personality, would your person or your personality exist then, or would it collapse? And if the answer is no, that doesn't mean that you're a creator. You're just a decorator, like doing some house stuff, keeping some good stuff, decorating this, decorating that, instead of making something real. And the streaming setup was for me exactly that. Someone took my whole expensive streaming setup and I was just there. Nothing, no systems, no viewers, no thing to stream on, nothing, just me. No foundation. And I'm not ashamed of that chapter because, as I mentioned, something clicked inside me, something different was back then. And I'm not proud either of that story because I had so much debt and I have to take responsibility for it. And the desk setup wasn't a punishment from the universe because I dreamed so big. I have some big goals I want to achieve. It was a reasonable answer to a person that wanted to skip that bottom part, that foundation to build up the person, instead of buying some things. For example, I should have known how to invest, how to save up some money. Instead, I skipped all of that and went 2 steps ahead. And the lesson in this video wasn't that you don't or you can't dream big, you can have big goals. The lesson in this video is that you have to build, or you don't build fragile. You have to build it step by step, brick by brick. That's what everyone tells you, but you cannot skip that part because it's essential. Because if the bottom part doesn't exist and you build on top of it, you know what happens? It collapses. And now I don't negotiate with myself anymore. I need to have a foundation. For example, on this channel, 1 week a video. This is my foundation. I can build up on that. I can get from the foundation ideas, what to make, what to do, and everything from that. Or for example, if you want a YouTube channel, prove that you can record on your phone before buying an expensive camera, mic and whole light setup. Or you want to build a business, then prove to yourself that you can make your first sale, your first cold call or first sale. You need to have money in your business to run it, obviously. Or you want to have a nice life, then prove to yourself that you don't have to sell everything you got just to survive the season. So I have one thing that I want you to do tonight. So look around you. What you got? Is this what you're building right now? Is this a foundation or is it just decoration? So do you buy, for example, a new mic because it sounds better, because your old one is cheap? Or do you learn how the mic works, how to soundproof your room, etc. before you buy a new mic? And remember this, that you don't get extra bonus points or extra lessons while you're decorating your life. You're just losing time. You lose time of your valuable time that you have on this earth. So I lost a bunch of my time and I'm now creating it back. I know I can't have the time back. I can't take or bring the time back, but I can improve what I've got, what I've learned so far. And I've learned a lot. And if you don't want to lose time anymore or don't want to waste time anytime sooner, watch this video. And if you want to see my latest video, watch this. And as for that, thanks for watching and I'm rooting for you.